Okay, hello. I'm back to using my phone as a mic, so we'll see what that does for sound. I'm also back in general. It took me a second to want to record a podcast episode after the last one because there just wasn't anything I wanted to talk about. There was other shit going on in my life. Pop culture wasn't as interesting to me. I wasn't really keeping up, so it didn't feel like worth it to record. But now I'm here, I'm back, I have ideas, and I want to talk, and I want to do the podcast. So I really was in a crisis for a second. I was like, maybe I don't want to do a podcast at all. Maybe I want to turn this into like more of a vlog situation, or like, I don't know, some kind of video-based project. And it kind of already is a video-based project. If you're listening to this, you're probably also watching it, because that is how I upload it. However, I don't think that that's gonna work for me because I respect the privacy of other people in my life. And I don't ever feel comfortable filming outside in public. So I'm not a vlogger. I canned that idea real quick and I'm back to the podcast. So, hello. Welcome to American in Peril, the podcast again. I'm a little self-conscious about my background. I am filming in my bedroom as I always do. I have my LCD sound system poster, I have my string lights and my bed and a tote bag, and you can see a broom in the corner. But my bedroom doesn't have a lot of decor in it. The office is a little bit better for that, but the lighting in the office is really bad. So I need to figure out a different background, but this is gonna do it for today. But yeah, welcome to the podcast. I needed to take a second. I need to figure out what this is, who I am. I was trying to take a couple of weeks to really think about what I want. And I do, like I said, want to do this. And I like to use it as both a record of my life and the outside world. I also have a Substack and I use that more for like personal thoughts, whereas this is more things that have happened. And I get to give commentary on things that have happened versus like my personal inner world, I guess. That's how I'm mentally separating these things. Not that that really matters, but I do post this on Substack, so I feel like if you usually read my stuff, this is a little different from what I write, because the podcast is very pop culture focused, so strap in for that, I guess. Speaking of pop culture and also my life, I went to Coachella last weekend. It is April 20th right now. It's Easter. Easter's kind of back this year. Did we notice this? I have probably never in my life, not even like growing up in a fairly Christian environment, not my personal family, but like the families around me, have heard about Easter this much in my entire life. I feel like people are like trying to make Easter plans this year, and I didn't make Easter plans because my family does not celebrate Easter, but it was like I felt pressure to make Easter plans. I've never in my life felt pressure to do that. It's weird to me. It feels conservative. I have a thing with Easter because I don't like that it's such an explicitly religious holiday. And it's like, yes, Christmas is an explicitly religious holiday, but like Easter is very much like he is risen, you know what I mean? Nothing against almost nothing against Christianity, but it's not my holiday. It's not my holiday. I don't really care about the bunny stuff. I don't care about the eggs. The aesthetics of Easter do nothing for me. It doesn't resonate with me as a spring holiday. The things I get out of spring are a little different, you know. I live in a city with a lot of cherry blossoms, so I associate cherry blossoms with spring more so than I do rabbits and chickens and things. That feels very farmy to me, and that's not what I get out of spring. So I guess that's me shitting on Easter. Who cares? Anyway, went to Coachella. It was great. It was my second time going. I also, once again, posted a Substack essay about it, so I'm not going to go on at length about it because I'm trying to separate the things, as I said. But a lot of artists I really liked were there, which is why I decided to go again this year. I didn't go last year, both because it's really expensive. It is notoriously expensive That is true. I spent about $1,600 on my entire trip. So if that tells you anything, which honestly for a trip is not that bad, but it's the fact that it's like 3 days and you spend a lot of money all at once that is a bit disconcerting to people, I think. You can also see my wristband still if you are watching this. I've not cut it off yet. I will probably cut it off tomorrow because it's starting to get a little itchy. It's gotten wet too many times, so it's time to stick it on a corkboard, I think, with the other one. Other wristband was cuter. It was pink. This one's blue and orange. Complementary colors, but, not my favorite colors necessarily. But yeah, I saw Claro and Bernie Sanders open for Claro. And you know what? Let me tell you, I did not realize how hard I still ride for Bernie until he was right there in front of me. And I was like, I screamed. I got very excited. I rushed toward the stage. It was like, I didn't get that excited when I saw like Harry Styles. You know what I mean? Something inside of me got so exhilarated seeing Bernie Sanders on that stage. And then it made me sad because the future that I had imagined, what would it be, 9 years ago now when I first voted for Bernie, has definitely not happened. It has gotten so much worse. So, pros and cons to seeing Bernie in person. Also, Charlie XCX did great. Love her. Lady Gaga, great. Love her. Saw A.G. Cook, PC Music, Charlie producer, really good live. I saw Arca. I saw Snow Strippers. I saw Megan Thee Stallion. A little bit of Zed and Tiesto, which kind of made me realize I just don't really fuck with EDM like that. I like electronic music a lot, but just not that kind. Which kind of makes me feel crazy because I know so many people that really enjoy going to stuff like that, and it feels like something that should be tailored to me because I love dancing and I love big shows, but like the visuals are always too corny for me. The music isn't really my favorite. Like, it's just not my preference, I guess, and that solidified for me over this Coachella weekend. Also solidified for me, I think I'm just getting a little too old to not start literally mentally and physically training before I go to things like this. My back hurt really bad this time. That did not happen last time. Last time it was 2 years ago. And I just don't remember my body hurting like that. So I've already recovered, which is good. It took me less than a week to stop feeling bad. And I didn't have Coachella lung this time, which is like when the dust really fucks you up for like a week, which is what happened to me last time. So I guess there were things I did better this time than last time. I protected my lungs, but I did not protect my joints. So, lessons learned every time I go. I also had problems with security this time, just like I did last time. I didn't talk about this last time because I didn't have a podcast last time I went to Coachella, but my friend and I got directed out the wrong entrance, basically, leaving on the first night when we went, and we were told that we had to walk the full perimeter to get back to the Uber area. Like, they wouldn't let us back into the festival to go to the different entrance, so we had to walk in the dark with like cars passing by, like literally like no streetlights, nothing, totally alone, and nobody in security would help us. No cops would help us. Nobody would take us in like a golf cart or anything to like get back there, even though it was like a 3-mile long walk in the dark. Once again, 2 women alone. And then we finally got to the Uber section. This is actually a crazy story. I was thinking about this the other day because I was like, wow, that's actually really fucked up, and I should have punched this guy in the face. But I got to the Uber line finally, and both of our phones were about to die because at this point we've been walking for like an hour, and trying to like call for help, and our phones are like, my friend's phone is literally dead. I think I had like 2% battery or something, and we weren't able to get an Uber in time before my phone died. So we were phoneless. I go up to a different security guy that's like in the Uber line, official Coachella security guy, and I say, hey, can you please help us call an Uber because our phones are dead? I don't know what to do. This is really bad. And he says, you could come home with me. Let me call my mom. I'll see if you can come home with me. And I literally turned around and did not speak to him again because that's an insane fucking thing to do. Also, I don't want to get picked up by an 18-year-old or maybe younger. I don't know. That's not my thing. So I ended up knocking on an Uber guy's window and saying, I will give you $250 cash if you cancel your ride and take me home. And that is how I got home that night, which is psycho. That's a psycho thing to have to do, but that is like normal Coachella shit in my personal experience, because this time we had another security issue where we got back on Saturday night to try to find our car, and our car had been moved. Our car was gone. Every single car in the line looks like maybe it had gotten moved. A bunch of people were walking around confused, like, where the fuck is my car? But there were new cars parked. So it was like, where the fuck are our cars? Because, like, there's new cars. There's a new car in the spot where I parked. You know what I mean? So we go tell security, and they're like, oh, damn, your car must have been stolen. Like, this is something that happens. Or, like, maybe it got towed, but we don't keep track of that. Which is, maybe you should keep track of that. Because, spoiler alert, that's what happened. But we tell a cop, and the cop, first of all, ignores us. As I'm speaking to his face, he's looking at his phone instead of listening to me. And then he's finally like, oh, that's crazy. Let me, like, drive around and look for your car. He comes back. He says, I don't see the car. Which, if he had driven a little further, maybe he would have found my fucking car, but whatever. I am like, hey, so can you check? Like, I went with my cousins this time. One of them had already called the police station, and their system was down to check for towed cars, I guess. So we had this guy check with his, they were two different police departments, I guess. So this guy checked with his police department, and they had no record of the car as being towed. So he was like, it might have been stolen. It probably got stolen. Usually that would have been recorded at this point. So usually a tow would have been recorded. So he was like, on Monday, you need to go to the police station and report stolen car, your stolen rented vehicle, which is awesome. But then Sunday morning, we call Coachella one more time, like lost and found. We're like, hey, do you know what could have possibly happened to our car? And they immediately say, oh, yes, we towed it like 10 rows to the right. And we're like, why couldn't you have told security this? Why is there no record of this with security, where if somebody loses their car, they could be like, oh, yes, let me look at this roster of license plates that are towed just over there. Or let me tell you, maybe you should check the tow lot. No, none of that. They had no idea what was going on. So that was my experience with security this year. We went back on Sunday in an Uber. We Ubered back that night and then that morning to get the car again. And the car was there. Everything was safe. Everything was fine. But very annoying, not fun, scary to have your car not in the spot where you parked it. So that is my Coachella experience. But I really enjoyed myself regardless. Once again, seeing Charlie was like, every time I see Charlie is like the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life. I think this time my highlight was Guess, because she brought out Billy. A bunch of people just very excited. I'm jumping up and down, I'm screaming, I'm having a very good time. And that was my highlight right there. So yeah, totally recommend Coachella. I just also recommend you try not to deal with security in any way. Don't camp. That's my recommendation. You should totally get a hotel and rent a vehicle if you don't live in LA. If you live in LA, camping might make more sense, but I don't live in LA. So, but today's episode is brought to you by seeing a lot of people at Coachella that I guess you could say there were various displays of wealth and then disparities in wealth that were very visible. The broader trend, I guess, that I want to talk about today, I read first in New York Magazine. I think technically it's a cut article, but I subscribe to New York Magazine and I get physical magazines because I think printed press is important. I think having physical magazines is cool, and I try to support that where I can. So, fun facts about me. But The Cut recently wrote about what they're calling what 8Ball, which is a Substack run by Sean Monahan, who's like a fashion / trend forecaster. Anyway, this new emerging aesthetic / trend is called Boom Boom. That's literally what they're calling it. It's, in short, I'm going to put some images on the screen of what Boom Boom is, but it's very 80s. It's literally referencing the 80s. It's very much in response to Trump's aesthetics, because Trump had a big effect on specifically like wealth and business aesthetics in the 80s. It's sort of this like gilded new money aesthetic that Trump and people like him really pioneered. Sean Monahan, for context, also came up with the concept of normcore. That was when he was in this trend forecasting group called K-Hole. That's a whole other thing. I'm not going to talk about it today. But he also predicted the quote-unquote vibe shift that ended up being, I guess, indie sleaze. Both of those trends are also these, I think, in my mind, responses to things happening in the outside world, in the political landscape. Like normcore was sort of this post-recession response to like this heavy trend cycling that had happened in the 2000s, and sort of this acceptance that like dreams don't come true. Whereas the vibe shift, quote unquote, / indie sleaze is more of a response to like COVID era and like wanting to break away from that like very introverted period of time, like these years of being like herded like cows toward being online and toward these like very clean online aesthetics. And a lot of people in my generation being like, I just want to sit at home and drink tea and watch cartoons for baby. You know what I mean? Like it's, I think was a very much my generation having a response to feeling patronized maybe in a way, and feeling very caged in by everything that had been happening. So, you know, something that happened to millennials, something that happened to Gen Z, I think Sean Monahan tends to have a good grasp on how we respond to these things in the way that we dress and interact with each other. So I trust that boom boom is a thing that's happening. This is a quote from the Cut article, by the way. I can't access the 8-Ball article because it's behind a paywall on Substack, and I don't have the money to give to every single Substack in the world. So the quote from the Cut is that boom boom is looking like you spent money for the sake of looking like you've spent money. So not necessarily having money, but looking like you spent money, which does not, as I said, mean that you have it. Does not mean you're rich. It just means that you chose to spend money. And the name Boom Boom also is inspired by the Boom Boom Room, which is a bar in New York that was popular in the 2010s that was inspired by the Windows of the World, which was the World Trade Center restaurant and the top of the World Trade Center, which obviously does not exist anymore. But, you know, you're looking at like business people spending a lot of money on these very fancy dinners in these very decadent environments. The way they're talking about it right now, and the way that I saw it at Coachella, is sort of half serious, half joking, like you're nodding at the idea of being a wealthy and put together business person. Like if you see it as a spectrum, like Chappell Roan is on the joking end, right? Like she has like the Giver photo shoots where she's like in suits and she's like pretending to be like a lawyer or whatever. And that's like very much drag, right? And then on the other end, you have Kim Kardashian being like, you know, wearing these like wet looks, but with like a full, you know, suit and tie look. She's giving a little bit of boom boom with the fucking Tesla robot photo shoot, like once again spending money to look like you spent money on this robot and on the Tesla fucking Cybertruck. These are sort of the aesthetics of the time, is what I'm saying. And it's drag until it isn't. You know, like Chappell Roan, I think we all know she's joking. You could also say that Kim Kardashian is being a little silly and like laying with her robot on a beach, but it's also a tacit endorsement of Elon Musk, right? So even when you're joking, even when you're playing with like your star text, like Kim Kardashian is, when she's like laying with a robot, it's like, okay, she's laying with a robot, and we know that Kim Kardashian has like this sort of sordid love life, and she hasn't been able to make anything work since Kanye, and like Kanye is a whole bag of worms. So like maybe she would prefer to lay with a robot, but also it's Elon's robot. You know what I mean? She's sort of choosing the billionaire class over love and companionship, which that's my reading of it. I don't love that. So anyway, on a civilian level, it's more that we're all pretending to be rich. We're pretending to have money. And I read another newsletter this morning as I was taking notes for this podcast from Haloscope magazine, which I wrote for. So endorsement of myself, but also endorsement of the magazine because I really enjoyed their newsletter. And it was about jackets. The writer was Greta Rainbow. I don't think I can link it because it is a newsletter, but I'll link the site. But in that newsletter, she mentioned that jackets seem to be getting bigger and bigger. And that this seems to be more of she also draws it into being more of a political thing, like shielding yourself from the world through this facade of wealth and decadence. And she argues that it's sexier to look like you can survive a cold world than to come off as overtly feminine and traditional, which seems at odds with like the trad wife thing that's been happening. But I think we're starting to see this shift finally away from that, which is good. But the shift is more toward, shielding yourself from the world through showing that you are independently wealthy, both for women and men. Just taking a quote from that because I thought it was good. You might mistake the satisfied feeling you get from wearing the perfect coverall coat for a sense of certainty in being okay that I imagine comes with generational wealth. It's not just cash that appeals in the face of contraction and consolidation. It's abundance in all arenas. An abundance of hope and abundance of love. Lay it on me. More, 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 more. Put me in barrel leg jeans and my boyfriend's dress shirt and a big sweater and the jacket over that, like I'm a present wrapped in boiled wool and linen, sweetly sealed with red thread. If it's going to be gone, then I want to have it all now, like dessert before dinner. So streetwear Marie Antoinette. I think the dessert before dinner thing is sort of what we're looking at here. I think people think that we are free-falling, which we kind of are as a society, as a country, specifically in America. So I think people are trying to get it while it's good and are sort of preparing to not have what they have anymore. So a lot of people going to Coachella and wearing a lot of designer brands. I saw a lot of designer brands. And wearing layers, even though it was so hot, like wearing these big chunky belts and like layering, tops on tops and like various, chains and things on your skirts and your jeans, wearing your fucking Labubus and everything. It's just about laying on how much you have and showing it off to the world as much as you can. And it's obviously a privilege to be at Coachella in the first place, and it's a privilege to own those things. And it felt like people were trying to show that off more than I remember ever seeing in the past. Sort of interesting. And wealth at Coachella does look different from like the boom boom aesthetic, but I do think it's all connected. Like I said, it's wearing these layers even when it's hot outside just to show that you own every single piece. Everybody dresses kind of the same, like jeans with these dozens of pockets, like heavy jeans, barrel jeans, also heavy. On the other end of things, you have like micro shorts and micro skirts, wearing things that are more decorative and not necessarily functional. Everybody has like, kind of trying to look like different celebrities. I saw a lot of girls dressed very much like Charlie, down to like having her hair. A lot of women dressed like Sabrina Carpenter, chain necklaces, white tank tops, white button downs, sort of like still doing the clean girl thing, but at Coachella, which was interesting. Everybody's got on like heavy black boots, brand shoes, Adidas, Nike, whatever. Like I said, chunky belts, scarves, layering. Everybody's layering. And a lot of things are brand name, showing brand names. And those who could not keep up, not to be mean, but could not keep up fashion-wise, were more identifiable. You can tell when somebody did not have that much money to spend on their outfit. There were a lot of girls wearing graphic tees, for instance, like not artist tees. Like I wore a Lady Gaga shirt, you know what I mean? I saw a lot of people wearing like Aphex Twin shirts and various like Travis Scott merch, whatever. That's different. That should actually cost a lot of money. I'm talking like Shein t-shirts. People wearing Converse, cowboy boots. Those were more moments where I was like, okay, this is probably just a normal person who wanted to be here. And it's not about showing off, how much they own. But it is noticeable. It makes you stick out, which is weird. It was not the norm. The norm was wearing expensive items. So I don't think any of this is necessarily bad. You can spend money however you want to spend money. I wore a brand, every single day I wore an item that was more expensive. I was wearing micro shorts. I wore a Tyler McGillivray top. You know what I mean? Like I'm no better. But it was obvious like who had the money to be there and who might have like, fun fact, GQ did this article where they figured out like how many people financed their tickets this year, like went on a payment plan. And it was 60% of Coachella attendees financed their tickets. So that's interesting. 60% of attendees may or may not have actually been able to out of pocket afford their ticket. And that's not covering people that probably put, their flights, their hotels, rental cars, whatever, on a credit card. So, people are spending a lot of money on these things, on experiences, which I think is good. I think if you're going to spend money, it might as well be on an experience, but also on expensive clothing, on, things that they can post on Instagram, and they may not have the money. 60% of people, apparently, probably don't have the money to be doing what they're doing. So, I don't know. I don't want to feel tricked. You know what I mean? I don't want to feel like I need to do these things even if I don't have the money, which is just going to put me further down the hole of not being able to take care of myself. And it seems like a lot of people are making that gamble of not being able to be financially independent in favor of looking cool and doing cool things, which is tale as time. Well, tale as old as credit cards, but it seems especially pronounced lately, And I think people, even though they are showing off that they're spending this money and they want to spend this kind of money, also have a very poor reaction to when other people spend money. So you're not even really getting a good response, you know what I mean? I think, part of why, this is sort of tangency, part of why the reaction to, like, the Charlie posting her, like, should-be headliner look, the reaction to that was very bad. People thought she was acting privileged, or acting like she was better than Green Day or whatever. I think it was just a joke. I don't really care. But people are tired of seeing people strive and wanting to have good things. And when they are perceived as already having those good things, like Charlie, people get kind of pissed off and they get annoyed. I don't think that's necessarily right to get mad over. I think when people are successful, you should just take it or leave it. I don't know. That's like, it's not your life. Who cares? But I would expect the vibe toward that kind of like self-confidence and showing that you are successful in some way to get increasingly negative as people can like afford these kinds of things less and less, which I think is going to continue to happen, unfortunately. Also this year, I didn't see a single influencer with my regular ticket. Last time I did, I saw a lot of influencers. They kept VIP locked the fuck down this year. More proof of class segregation, I guess. It does suck. It seems like the regular Coachella experience this year was also really bad in comparison to previous years. Like, they keep increasing the things you get in the VIP tiers, it seems. I don't have any proof for that, but it just, what I've seen on like the Coachella Reddit and on like Reels, because I don't really do TikTok, seems like camping got worse. Some things that were outside of VIP in terms of like food and drink availabilities were moved to VIP instead of the regular sections. Even though you're spending all this money, you're getting like worse stuff every year, which is true of everything, pretty much. There's also that, I've been watching the Black Mirror season that just came out. There's like that episode with Rashida Jones and the Irish guy. They have to keep like increasing her tiers for her like brain tumor fix. It's like that. Everything is like that now. Black Mirror did one astute piece of satire for once. I don't know. It's also tough when you're like at Coachella and then you go on Instagram and you see like Emma Chamberlain by a pool or something. It's like, I'm standing in like 102-degree weather and I feel like shit. You know what I mean? Once again, nothing against Emma. That's like her life. But, the class disparities, they do become present. You start to understand what's happening when you're there. Anyway, that's just what I wanted to talk about today, basically. Something I noticed at Coachella that seems to be a broader trend. Wanted to cite the broader trend. What do you guys think? It's just annoying. It's annoying that I feel like to keep up with anything nowadays, I have to spend a shit ton of money. And like, I could just decide to tap out of culture altogether, but I don't want to. I like doing stuff. I like wearing clothes that I want to wear, and I like having a good time. I don't know. we're on this earth to have a good time. I might as well have a good time, but I also don't want to go into debt. I don't want to normalize going into debt because it seems like we're normalizing it, and that sucks. Maybe some things are just too expensive. Maybe some things need to change, in terms of wages nationally. I don't know. Something needs to change. Those are my thoughts on that. Music-wise, at Coachella, I had a great time. I didn't notice anything weird from anybody there. It seemed like every artist was having a great time. There were a lot of shout-outs to specifically Palestine and trans rights, which I thought was cool. A lot of different artists I saw shouted out, I guess, good politics in some way. I will say one complaint I have is that I missed every single chance to see Addison Rae that I could have possibly had. I had to end my Arca set early to go over to Megan Thee Stallion, and I missed seeing Addison come out. Also, Addison came out with Charlie in weekend 2, and I was at weekend 1, so I still have not seen Addison Rae with my own eyes, which is tough because I really like her. I really like her music. She's like the thing I'm most excited about right now in terms of just culture in general, I guess. Headphones On, her latest single, is great. The video was filmed in Iceland. I went to Iceland last year. It was a flyover situation, but like I enjoyed myself when I was there. It's a beautiful place. Björk coded, and I just really like her. I like her vibe. I think a lot of people think it's try hard, but I think we need more stars that are trying to cultivate a vibe. I like the Headphones On and Aquamarine are very Madonna-ish. They're sort of doing this like ray of light / music thing. Really fun. I like that Aquamarine has like an Eyes Wide Shut reference in it, which is cool. That's one of my favorite movies. It's crazy that her background is TikTok. Because she also works with is it Sean Price Williams for Diet Pepsi? He did like The Sweet East, which is a movie I really loved last year. Diet Pepsi kind of sounds like Lana. Like High Fashion is doing this like dark Britney thing, like blackout era thing. All of her videos like reference like movies and other artists and stuff, and I just think it's really cool. It's like totally something that I have been craving without really knowing it. So I'm just really excited for her album. It comes out June 6th, and I think that's exciting. High Fashion is probably my favorite so far. I like that it has like almost experimental production, but it's not experimental. It's just very Britney. But it sounds very different from anything right now, so I think my brain is processing it as experimental. It really works for me, and I love the visuals. I think it's weird that she keeps leaning into feet and cigarettes, but I also love it at the same time. I think she's really ambitious, and I think it's cool that the album has been entirely produced by women also. So that's my shout out to Addison Rae. Big fan. Usually if I wind down an episode, I'm going to talk about like movies, TV, whatever I've been watching, what I've been reading. I haven't really been reading any books that I've been really enjoying. I finished Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, and I liked it. I thought it was good. It's not my favorite thing she's ever written, but like I find myself thinking about the characters a lot, which I think, means something. One of the brothers really annoyed me, the younger one. Ivan. I liked Peter more, even though he also irritated me, but I think I understand Peter more. Anyway, that book irritated me in a lot of ways, but I liked it. It's fine. It's good. And then I moved on to reading Bad Behavior by Mary Gaitskill, which I actually loved, but hasn't stuck with me as much as I thought it would. It's also very dour reading. It's like multiple stories basically about like women in bad relationships with men, or in like negative situations, life situations. So really good. I liked it, but also dour. And now I'm reading Abbi Jacobson's book, which is like a lot of essays about this road trip she took right before Broad City ended, and it's fine. Like I like getting some context on like Broad City, but no offense to Abbi, I don't think she's a very good writer. So it's kind of hard to get through a lot of it just because it's very scattered a lot of the time. and I just don't really find it interesting to read. I'm gonna finish it. But I think a lot of the epiphanies she's having in this book are epiphanies I would have had when I was like 24, which is a little concerning because I think she was 32 when she wrote the book. So, but I think I'm going to try to read more fun stuff. I've heard Convenience Store Woman is very good. I might go to the store and get that. I'm also thinking about reading Right Wing Women by Andrea Dworkin. Just interested to hear what she has to say about that. And I'm also interested in reading Junkie. It's like this 80s gay novel. So things on the list. There are things on the list. TV, I did want to say, I'm noticing the Girls seems really popular again, or at least on my feeds, my Instagram, my Twitter, my Substack. Seems like it's the show of the summer, like 2-3 years running, especially now that White Lotus and Severance are done, which I liked White Lotus. This season was fun. It was fine. I liked all the performances. I don't really think it went anywhere interesting. Like, the last episode was crazy, and there was a lot going on, but it just didn't feel like it built to anything that was cohesive or made sense. And Severance is, like, actively offensive to my sensibility. Like, I really just can't do it. I watched the first half of the first season, and it's interesting. It's, like, so, like, Reddit nerdcore. Like, people who like to sit down and have theories on shows. I just don't like that. I don't find it... It's not an interesting way to tell a story. It's not... I don't find the Severance story very interesting in the first place. I don't know. It seems like it was doing a lot of... It thought it was doing a lot of stuff. But I haven't watched the new season, so... I don't know. It's not for me. I think it's not for me. Other shows I'm noticing are popular in terms of, like, rewatches. Broad City, as I apparently am a fan of, as we know. I've just been noticing a lot of people in my life rewatching Broad City. I don't know if this is because there's, like, that Girls Rewatch podcast. It rebranded to a Broad City Rewatch podcast. Or if it's because, like, Babes, Alana Glazer's recent movie came out, like, 6 months ago, maybe. And Alana also has a new comedy special. So it seems like there's just a lot of Broad City hype right now. I noticed a lot of friends and people I follow rewatching it. Noticeably less of a Sex and the City summer. I feel like I'm not seeing as many people talk about Carrie. But it's still in the game. She comes up. It's just definitely more of a Girls and Broad City summer. Yeah, watching Black Mirror. I like this season well enough. Honestly, this season is way better than last one. The last one was not good. We really stepped our pussy up this time. I liked is it Plaything or Playtime? Whatever episode had Peter Capaldi in it. I liked that one a lot. I thought that was entertaining and fun. Other episodes I've seen so far are the Rashida Jones one with the brain tumor, which was fine. The one where the, like, blonde girl is, like, getting revenge for being bullied in high school, and she, like, has the amulet. That one was also fine. It pissed me off, but it was fine. And then the one with Issa Rae was also okay. Very San Junipero too, which I like San Junipero a lot, but this one was not as good. Anyway, but yeah, better episodes than last time. Even though everything is just, like, getting a 1 thumbs up from me, that's still better than last season, which gets, like, a half thumb from me, or an active thumbs down on some episodes. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. I was really in a perfumey mood for a while, and I got a bunch of perfume samples. I don't think I ever talked about that on the pod, because this was during my time away. I got really into perfume again. I'm trying to do more indie brands. I'm not really into perfume that's really perfumey. I like perfumes that mimic other things. So I got a perfume sample that smells like shoe pastry. It's called Shoo Shoo by Lise. I like Lise a lot in general. I also have studied by them, and I really like it. And I got really into Mist Poofer. It's a Stora Skogen perfume. That's kind of like my new signature scent. I've been wearing Mist Poofer a lot. I can see myself getting a full bottle. It's like bergamot and, like, outdoorsy smells, but also, like, sweet and smoky. It's really nice. I keep saying it smells like a gingerbread house in the woods that's, like, almost burning down. or like, I don't know, it's very foresty and sweet at the same time. I love it. It's weird because I don't like how it smells out of the bottle. Like if I were to spray it in the air, it's like fine, but when I spray it on my body my body chemistry works with it really well, I think, which is a unique experience. I have not had that with very many perfumes before. So yeah, I don't know what else I have to say. Just I had my main rant and now I'm just talking. But yeah, that's the podcast. I'm back. I'm going to try to stay regular with this again. So, yeah. Talk to you guys later. Bye.